Coming up on today's Airborne, the Women in Aviation Convention ends on a high note and with high numbers. An NTSB judge rules that commercial use of drones is not illegal. And Robinson helicopters and Lycoming engines get an extended TBO. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. I'm Ashley Hale. The Women in Aviation Conference, the 25th such event, was to all appearances successful, well-attended, empowering, and in some instances even more diverse than the name would suggest. The 10,000-member strong organization, under the direction of Dr. Peggy Chabrian, has grown from a handful of women attending an inaugural Arizona event 25 years ago to an international gathering, with nearly 200 visitors from Nigeria alone, that attracts thousands of people of both genders annually. This year's total attendee count exceeded 4,500. As the aviation industry has grown more diverse and less of an old boys club, Women in Aviation International has directed itself as a networking and empowerment center for women working in aviation and aerospace. Best known for its scholarship and guidance programs, particularly evident in this year's event were the long lines of women and men that bordered all boundaries of the convention, awaiting personal interviews with a handful of major airlines that utilized Women in Aviation 2014 as a career fair. WAI boss Chabrian told ANN that she expects great things from the event and the organization in the future. And with a record-setting 25th year completed, it's hard to argue with her optimism. Last week, National Transportation Safety Board Judge Patrick Geraghty ruled that commercial use of UAVs is not illegal. Geraghty found that no laws ban commercial drone use and that commercial drone use is not in violation of FAA regulations. This ruling came about when the judge dismissed the FAA's case against Raphael Perker when he was fined $10,000 after he used a drone to film a commercial at the University of Virginia. The judge said in his ruling, quote, "The FAA has not issued an enforceable federal acquisitions regulations regulatory rule governing model aircraft operation, has historically exempted model aircraft from the statutory FAR definitions of aircraft by relegating model aircraft operations to voluntary compliance with the guidance expressed in the 2007 policy notice. Respondents' model aircraft operation was not subject to FAR regulation and enforcement," end quote. The FAA issued the following statement, quote, "The FAA is appealing the decision of an NTSB administrative law judge to the full National Transportation Safety Board, which has the effect of staying the decision until the board rules. The agency is concerned that this decision could impact the safe operation of national airspace systems and the safety of people and property on the ground," end quote. The primary issue here is that the FAA addresses commercial use of a UAS in a 2007 policy notice that was published in the Federal Registry. Is an FAA policy notice the same as an enforceable regulation? The NTSB ruling in this case could reach far beyond the issue of commercial UAVs. We'll keep you posted. You're watching Airborne. We'll be back with more news and our feature of the day.
ADS-B will be mandatory for most aircraft by 2020 in the United States, but you can benefit from ADS-B today with the Bendix King KT-74 Mode S transponder. The KT-74 meets the global mandates for ADS-B out when attached to a suitable WAAS GPS. Over the past 2 decades, no resource has compiled as much expert-valued information about the sport plane world than the Sport Plane Resource Guide. Over 1,500 pages, hundreds of aircraft, dozens of how-tos and directories. All this and more will be coming to the sport aviation world soon with the new, all-electronic and updatable Sport Plane Resource Guide for your iPad, iPhone, Kindle, tablet, PC, or other electronic devices. Get your order in now. www.sportplane.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or our podcast, drop an email to news-by@aero-news.net. Robinson model R22 and R44 helicopter owners are now allowed a time between overhaul for their Lycoming engines of 2,200 hours. This is an increase of 200 hours from the original 2,000-hour TBO. The details of this change are listed in Lycoming's Service Instruction number 1009 AW. Prior to the issuance of this service instruction, the TBO could be extended to 2,200 hours only if the engines were used in frequent service. Operators of these helicopters are urged to read the service instructions in its entirety because there are other requirements that affect the TBO. The 200-hour extension is based on the excellent service history of the O320B2C and O360J2A engines used in the R22 and the O540F1B5 and IO540AE1A5 engine, which are used in the R44. And now it's time for our Aero video of the week.
Final liftoff has planned.
The Project Morpheus lander proved it can seek a safe landing site autonomously. This little guy puts on a great show. Search Project Morpheus Free Flight 8 on YouTube. Here's your chance to own a genuine Cold War collector's item. A Soviet-era Tu-95MS strategic bomber, designated by NATO as the Bear, has popped up on eBay. It's listed as buy it now for $5 million. The minimum bid is $3 million. The listing does not say whether the airplane is in flying condition. The German company offering the plane says it was acquired from a partner in Ukraine. It's listed as being, quote, demilitarized with all documents in order and ready for shipment, end quote. And the sale price does include the cost of shipping the airplane disassembled. The listing also states in a rather unique variation of English that they may be willing to part it out. Check your credit card limit and go for it. Then let us know how it works out. We'll be right back with more news after these messages.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds and learning proper crosswind landing techniques. Even today, most crosswind landing skills are learned through trial and error, sometimes with disastrous results. Believe it or not, the most common contributing factor in weather-related accidents each year is crosswinds. The second most common factor is wind gusts. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. It teaches pilots the proper techniques to meet and beat these top two causes of weather-related landing accidents. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in challenging crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird X-Wind SE, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to be a supporter of Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or our podcast, drop Jim an email at jim@aero-news.net. Here's our lesson on how to treat your customers badly. The days of no overtime customer fees for private aircraft visiting the island of the Bahamas, for pilots who declare that no remuneration has been received and that the flight is for recreational purposes, are gone. Under a new regulation, any arrivals or departures before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m. will be charged a $100 overtime fee. The new bottom line for flying to the Bahamas is to expect $250 in fees if you don't arrive and depart within the prescribed time period. This breaks down as $50 to land, $100 in departure taxes, and $100 in overtime fees. Fees applied to general aviation traffic to the Bahamas have been increasing steadily, and this new overtime fee could be another nail in the coffin for for general aviation recreational travel to this destination. New Zealand is a wild and woolly place with spectacular landscaping, and when you buy a Hughes 500 helicopter, you kind of want to be able to fly it. Such was the case for rock band AC/DC drummer Phil Rudd, who purchased one of the copters in 2011. But there was a snag. Rudd had let his pilot's license lapse. When he went to the New Zealand Civil Aviation Authority to have it renewed in 2012, the CAA said that Rudd had lied on his medical certificate application, and they denied the renewal. According to the New Zealand Herald, the CAA said Rudd had not mentioned a 2010 conviction for possession of 25 grams of marijuana. However, a judge recently decided to give Rudd the benefit of the doubt and overturn the conviction. The path is now clear for his recertification, and we assume he'll enjoy a new high from his view of that fabulous New Zealand landscape in his Hughes 500. Well, that's our program. Remember to get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aerospace and aviation stories anytime at aero-news.net. Please remember Airborne is streamed 3 times a week and is always online. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a new edition of Airborne. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.